What's going on, my good people? It is your boy Addison, and today we are back at it with the First Time Readers WoTTube podcast with your boy Addison and Jenny. And today we're going to be covering chapters 10 through 20. But before we get started, I would like to give a special shout out to our Patreon members. If you're not a Patreon member on either me or Jenny's channel, you might want to consider being a member, where you'll get access to live streams that we do for the WoTTube First Time Reader podcast specifically. But without further ado, make sure you guys stay tuned. There will be two parts to this video. We'll have the first part of the video right here on the Everyday Negroes channel, and then we'll have the second part on Jenny's channel. So make sure after y'all watch this portion, y'all hop on over to her channel to catch the end of the video. All right, let's hop straight into it.
So, all right, chapter 10, the chapter is called Leave Taking, which I believe was actually the title of the first episode of the show. The chapter icon, it's the staff, which I believe is supposed to be Moiraine's staff. The group goes to the stables, preparing to leave, and everyone has brought a weapon. Egwene shows up and says she wants to join them and doesn't believe the boys when they say that they are in some specific danger. And then Tom pops up and says that he'll leave with them, and they saddle up and start their journey when Rand sees something huge and bat-like flying in the air, and Land realizes that it's a Drakkar. So what were your thoughts on this chapter?
First of all, my thoughts are, I got a little nervous when you said the bat-like creature, because I thought you were going to go into a quiz, and I did forget the name of that bat creature. So
yeah.
Starting off with a win today.
all right.
Drakkar.
Yeah, Drakkar. Yeah.
So first impressions of going into this chapter was the fact that our last episode, you kind of left me off on a cliffhanger, making me think that Egwene was not coming.
I mean, I might have teased you a little bit. Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to shape everything I know. But not only did Egwene end up coming, Medieval Mick Jagger ended up hopping along too.
Yeah.
So that was a nice twist to it. It's interesting to see Tom is with the crew from the beginning, so he'll actually have some of these experiences that in the show he didn't have till after they got separated in the city, which I'm sure we'll go into a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's interesting that the party size.
The party size is a little bit bigger. I always found it interesting.
A little bit different.
I shouldn't say I always find it interesting, but every time I go back and reread, it always just strikes me how Egwene was just like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Last minute too. Last minute.
Like,
I was getting nervous because of how you left me off. I was getting nervous up to the last minute. I was like, is Egwene really not coming? And of course, last minute she pulled through.
She just pops up. Like, she just left. There's been a Trolloc attack. And then the next day you go and there's like a note saying, hi, I've decided to leave with the Aes Sedai. Like, it just always strikes me as she made a huge decision.
That's like one of those Disney Channel moves. Like the kids in Disney Channel, they get to do whatever they want. That was a Disney Channel move right there. Like, where I'm from, nobody's kid is doing that.
Yeah.
Get your behind back in the house.
Yeah. It's a little insane. So Tom was joining them. I know in the last episode you were talking about some relation, like you were suspecting maybe something between him and Moiraine had some sort of relation. At this point, were you like, ooh, this is like, what were you seeing here? There's
still that either respectful fear between the two. Obviously, Lan is very cautious around him. I think Moiraine said, it's already said, pretty much indicating that this is just how things are going to go. And then Lan made the remark, so is this part of the plan too? What I'm saying? Is this brother coming along part of the plan too?
Yeah.
So they definitely seem like they have a lot of unspoken things said between them,
right?
Which is interesting.
Yeah,
but they keep it at bay as they travel along.
Yeah. And the other thing that I always note when I go back, how innocent they were. Like, Lan sent Perrin in to go check the stable out, and Perrin forgot to check the loft of the stable. Like, he just was like, yeah, nobody's here. Not in the obvious hiding spot. Like, I'm not even gonna look in the obvious hiding spot. Like, it's just... So any further thoughts before we go on to the next chapter? Like, this is just sort of a setup chapter, but, things sort of really kick off at this point, but...
The only thing that I was thinking in regards to this chapter is that it almost seems like, because of the interaction she had with Lan, that nothing is a mistake, that Moiraine just kind of goes with the flow, as if she's expecting things to happen at a certain time, even when other people have questions about it. Because when she does not want certain things to occur, which we'll get to a little bit later in the discussion as well. She's very firm on her responses. But when some things that seem like they just kind of haphazardly occur, she's like, it's as the wheel intends, or whatever phrase she says.
Yeah, it's the wheel intends. Yes, the wheel weaves, I believe. But yeah, she says at this point that Egwene coming is part of the pattern. Now she reveals why she thinks that. Like with the understanding of what she says later on, do you understand now why she let Egwene come at this point?
Oh, absolutely. First impressions of watching the show of why I thought she came is because she was a candidate of being the dragon.
Yeah. So
Moiraine was just pretty much taking Matt, Perrin, Rand, and Egwene because one of y'all are going to be the dragon, and I'd rather have all of y'all by my side just in case, I get it wrong. Now, from reading the books, it's very obvious moving forward from this chapter that she is being a Aes Sedai intern, or come intern. up or being mentored. An Aes Sedai intern. She's getting her ways about her.
Yeah, exactly.
The hair is getting unbraided. It actually makes it funny that we call her Sister New Braid because her hair is getting unbraided.
I know. That was one of the things. I think it was a smart change in the show because she does change so quickly, and I feel like they were, but yeah. Because it is shocking how quickly she's like, taking this out. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to the next chapter. It is called The Road to Terran Ferry. The icon is the leafless tree. They race down the road to the Terran Ferry, with Rand being particularly worried about Egwene, who is riding Bella, his old horse. They stop for a rest at Watch Hill, and Moiraine heals the horses of their fatigue. And she remarks that Bella is the least tired of all the horses. But then a Drakkar screams and they mount and ride again. And a fog rises up around them as they race the rest of the way to Terran Ferry. Lan wakes up the ferryman to get him to ferry them across the river, paying him a lot of gold to do it immediately, even though it is night.
So, for those of y'all who are listening to this for the first time, and some of you who are with us, and Jenny, you might know this too, this part of the episode as they get on the ferry was one of the argumentative point, one of a big disagreement between me, Dre, and Brandon.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how this plays out in the book because we actually get some of the characters' feelings about it, which I would actually say are closer to my feelings than they were to Brandon and Andre's.
All right.
Not to throw any of my brothers under the bus, but I told y'all that she did that for me wrong. But but in this instance, I like the stories version better because at least he didn't die in the water.
Yeah.
I like it a little bit better. He lost his boat, but he didn't lose his life in the water.
I made a video a while back about like comparing changes between the books and the show and which ones I thought were smart, which ones I didn't like. And I realized when I was reading it this time, I forgot to include this change. And I think the reason I forgot to include it is because I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know why they did it. Like I can't figure out what the reasoning for it was.
I don't know why the ferryman caught her stray like that. It is interesting seeing all of the different type of powers Moiraine has. We saw that she can cure tiredness, which was an interesting ability to have. And that one right there kind of stuck out to me a little bit because it's like, we really don't know what all she actually can do. I know she says stuff about earth, wind, and fire. Not really sure how tiredness follows into any of those realms, but hey. In
the show, there is a scene, because this is something that, sorry, I'm just seeing all the comments. Moiraine did nothing wrong in the comments. Anyway.
And hey, look, I agree with y'all full-fledged. In the book, she didn't do that much wrong. There we go. Y'all can finally get me to say it. In the book, she did not do much wrong.
All right. In the show, there's a scene where she's like down, sort of touching horses. And a lot of us, like book readers, are wondering if that was supposed to be a sort of a hint to the fact that she was healing the horses of their fatigue. Because they never say it in the show. It's never brought up.
Yeah. When I saw her doing that in the show, I took it as one of those movies or series where somebody is passionate or compassionate about animals and they're just like, oh, you poor thing, we appreciate you for helping us out. I didn't necessarily take that as she was healing the horse of tiredness. But hey, now it makes sense. Even if they didn't directly imply it in the show, it makes sense.
So I guess I will go on to the next chapter. Chapter 12 is called Across the Terran. And the icon is, I think this is the first time we've seen this one. This one is called the Flame of Tar-Valon. Or Tar-Valon is how she says it.
So is there an appropriate way to say it? Is it Tar-Valon or Tar-Valon?
I actually, I've always said Tar-Valon because that's what the original audiobook, Michael Kramer, Kate Redding said. But I do think that Tar-Valon is a better pronunciation because I don't know if you know anything about Arthurian legend, but there's a city, like a country place called Avalon. And I think that Tar-Valon is supposed to remind us of Avalon. So it's a better pronunciation, but my brain is just so used to saying it the other way. So apologies if I say both. So
I didn't know if it's one of those tomato things, so it makes sense.
They're all made up words. It is a tomato thing. Like it's a tomato bladuda. Like none of this is real. So it doesn't matter. But okay. The party is ferried across the river, and after they land on the other side, the ferry is sucked down into a whirlpool. Land pays the ferryman extra for the loss of his ferry, and the fog then ends abruptly at the edge of the river. And Moraine reveals that the fog was her doing, and she's made it go along the river for some distance to trick the Drakkar into thinking that they are traveling by river and hiding in the fog. Lan takes them to a place to camp for the night, and Moraine takes Egwene aside to talk, where she tells Egwene that she can channel, and takes her through a sort of meditation exercise to help her. When Egwene is able to successfully make a light appear, she excitedly tells Rand that she's going to be an Aes Sedai.
This is Rand's first. At first, Rand was in protective mode of Egwene. And I think this is one of those things where Rand realized, like, she's going to become a woman that I can't really handle if I let her go down this path. And you actually see him kind of rooting, because we get his perspective, rooting for her to fail the test that she's going through with Moraine, which is a little bit interesting. Because in my mind, it was like, dang, this could be a power couple type situation. The dragon and an intern Aes Sedai, but he was, I think, whether he's just in protective mode or he just doesn't want her to have anything to do with the Aes Sedai because of all the village's myths and beliefs about them, is one of the things that stuck out.
It is interesting when you look, like, even from the beginning, they do not seem to want the same thing. His goal seems to be, I want to stay in this village, and I want to raise sheep, I want to be near my dad, I want to, like, have a family here, which is a beautiful, lovely dream. And her dream, like, one of the first things she says is, I'm going to go to another village and be a wisdom. Like, her dream has always been, like, she wants to do, and her dream is also a beautiful, lovely dream. Like, they don't have the same goals, which, does not, it seems like a problem for a relationship.
For sure.
Let me just say that. Yeah.
For sure.
And okay, so what did you think about the sort of meditation, the training that she took?
I thought it was neat because in the show, we obviously see Moraine taking Egwene off to do and have certain conversations that Rand is always kind of looking over his shoulder, like, what's up with that? Yeah. But it's more clear in the book why that is. Yeah. We're not necessarily hidden from those conversations, although we are getting like a third view of how those conversations take place. Yeah. We also understand that this is something that Egwene seemingly is like full force diving into and accepting of and excited about, or sometimes even. And I think she wants to kind of share some of that enthusiasm with Rand, and he's just not reciprocating that same energy. Yeah, exactly. Like she knows she has a very, very clear goal that she wants, and it's not what he wants. And for sure. Yeah. I would say it was not the dream life that he had, but we don't want to get into the type of dreams Rand has, because nobody wants those dream life. Yeah. he has a whole bunch of dreams. Oh, you can keep them dreams to yourself, brother. Don't include me. Yeah. Two other things that stood out in this chapter was the fact that the yin and the yang that Moraine starts talking to, maybe it's Egwene about, or just the entire group. I think they put like a male and a female to that. Yep. Which was interesting. And then also the way that Moraine says that the Red Aes Sedai had to gentle men with access to the one power, it sounds so emasculating. It's just like, what? Like, I don't know. You can't go back to your village after you've been gentled. Like, you can't go home to your boys after you've been gentled. It just doesn't work. But it makes sense as you see it play out in the show. Like, the word makes, I guess that's worst, nicest way you can put taking the power from a man is gentling him. But it's just interesting. The women throw out some sharp, like sneak disses, even when they call them sheep herders. It just hits different.
Yeah. And you picked up on exactly what Robert Jordan was trying to go for there. Like, not to get too deep into it, because he didn't do this in the book, so this is not a spoiler, but part of it was initially meant to be castration. Like, he was just like, okay, that's what, like, he that was the feeling that he was going for, like what what you do to a gelding or whatever. But he pulled back from that. So, I don't know. His wife was his editor. I don't know if his wife was the one who was like, no, I don't know. I mean,
she let a few slide in there. Then she let a few brothers catch some strays.
Yeah. Well, it is like, because that's what it is meant to be. Moraine does explain it in this. There is a gendered component. Like, women have, like, there's a one power that everybody, well, not everybody, but magic users have access to. And there's a half for men and there's a half for women. And the men's half, is it this chapter? I think she explains this chapter. The men's half is the word that they use. And again, they've had to walk away from this a bit in the show because of the new meaning of this word, but it's been tainted. That's like, it's a problem. That's why. So men have to be, and gentled is the.
But even with the word tainted, it's like always implicated that if a man does it, it's tainted. But if a woman does it, it's perfect. It's beautiful.
Well, that's it's because the men's half. It's not the man that's tainted. It's the magic that the men's half of the magic has been tainted. So if men use it, they get tainted. Whereas the women's half is clean. So the women can use it and be fine. I
feel like if a red Aes Sedai explained it, they would just say men are tainted.
Oh, I believe that. What was it that Leandrin said in Sister Strong Josh?
This power, it's meant for women and women alone. And when you touch it, you make it filthy.
Goodness gracious. You said it so strongly.
She really did. Here in this chapter, Moraine explains that as an Aes Sedai, like as a channeler, she can sense when another woman can channel. This is one of those things that in the show, I don't know how they're doing this. I'm confused. I legit, like, I don't know how they're making this happen, because Moraine
Maybe they got a built-in Bluetooth.
Yeah, Moraine does take Egwene aside to train her and seems to know that Egwene can channel. However, then later on in in episode 6, she says outright that didn't know that Nynaeve could channel.
Sorry, sis, what did you say?
I was unaware that she could channel.
And it's like, okay, wait, how could you know one person could channel and not know another? So
that is interesting.
Yeah, I don't, the show can change things and I'm perfectly fine with it, but that's one of those ones where I don't know what the show is doing. I'm actually confused.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you're saying in the book, Moraine did know that Nynaeve could channel, but in the show, she did not. She was not aware of that. That's the difference you're saying.
That's what it seems like. Because in this chapter, it's like a mystery. But again, because you've seen the show, I don't feel so bad saying that. But in this chapter, she says there's another person in your village that can channel, another woman, and Egwene doesn't know who it is, but like we do. That's like it's Nynaeve, and so yeah. I don't know. I literally, when I watched the show, I was like, "What? Pick a side. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing with that." So, okay. Yeah. Anything further before we go on to the next one?
Nah, but this next one is gonna be, some strong opinions about this next chapter.
All right. Okay, then I will read my summary for it. The chapter title is Choices, and the icon is Moraine's staff again. Okay, and the summaries get a bit longer because these chapters get a bit more detailed. So it says, I wrote, Moraine refreshes everyone and they continue their journey. Lan begins to teach the boys how to use their weapons. Egwene unbraids her hair, which sparks an argument between her and Rand. Moraine continues to teach Egwene every night, and in their lesson, she explains that the men who broke the world were not evil. They were simply insane and tainted by the Dark One. They arrive at Baerlon and are told that there are white cloaks in the city because of something going on in Gaeldon, which is another city, with a false dragon who can channel and who has named his followers the People of the Dragon to coincide with a prophecy, which is the Crayathon cycle. Rand asks Tom about these prophecies, and Tom talks about a sword that cannot be touched and a stone of tear. And then they arrive at the inn.
This was the chapter in which we see it in the show too. As Rand and Matt and Perrin are getting comfortable on their journey and starting to feel a little bit safer than they actually are. They're discussing, the possibilities of just go ahead and doing, going back or leaving, whatever the case may be. And Moraine, all hearing, all knowing, blue self. Here's this conversation, and in the nicest but meanest way ever, lets them know that, you know what I'm saying, if y'all try to leave, I will lay y'all down here in this forest. And I'm like, again, it's just kind of like a masculine. It's like, it's just like, wow, what the wheel seems like it's weaving for you, and I just got to keep rolling the wheel. You know what I'm saying? I know they had to swallow their pride after hearing that, because a part of them knows, like, yeah, she very well will kill all of us, but it's like they don't have a choice. So even though I think the last is titled choices, you don't have a choice.
Yeah. The wheel weaves. It's not people weaving. It's the wheel. It's the idea that there's something going on outside of us that is, in the books, that is controlling them. I don't think she says, if you leave, I'll destroy you. I think it's like, if the dark one, that's how I summarize it.
If the dark one, she's against what the dark one wants.
Yes, that's what it is.
And if the dark one wants, she'll pretty much, summarizing it, she'll kill y'all before she lets the dark one have you. Pretty much. And like, to me, maybe it's the competitive side. Is like, I want to see you try. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take a couple steps this way and let me see if you start channeling with that rod or something.
You might be from the Two Rivers. I'm just saying. They are known for being stubborn.
But yeah, that one was a tough one to take, but
yeah.
I'm ready. What else you got for chapter 13 that stood out to you?
Okay. They mention something going on in Gaeldon. You know what this is because of the show.
Yep.
Yep, that is what did you call him?
The reimagined, renovated, reborn. I think what we said, Moses, the fake Moses.
Fake Moses, something like that. Yeah.
This brother has many names, so it's interesting hearing about him from rumors and myths and the word spreading, as opposed to in the show we actually get to see him go to work simultaneously. Yeah. So brother Low Game, man, it was interesting. As soon as it posted, like, I know about that. I know about that fake brother over there.
Yeah, exactly. I think even in the first week, Pattern Fane mentions the war in Gaeldon as well. There's also the Koreathon cycle, which is the prophecy about the people of the dragon and the stone of Tyr. There's a book in the show that Rand literally, he pulls out and he just reads the title out loud. And the title is the Koreathon cycle. It's one of those moments of like, nobody does that. Nobody pulls a book out and reads the title. But that was, he's reading this. What did you, anything jump out at you about this prophecy? There's a sword that cannot be touched that the dragon has to get in the stone, but he cannot get it until the stone falls. It's sort of a catch-22 prophecy, isn't it? So
it's almost, again, you're finding out that Tom is super knowledgeable without exactly, because obviously people know he has stories and performances, so they expect him to know a lot of things. But it's like, this is not just stuff that you seemingly have a little bit of information about. You're actually almost on Moraine's level with knowledge about certain things. And also during the course of this time, which they didn't do in the show, understandably, the distance and the walks and the conversations, they kind of speed that up in the show, where in the book, you kind of get a lot of character and development of certain things as they're building up. So that's pretty neat to see. It
is kind of cool. I was thinking about that. I've been watching The Last of Us, and I've been watching people comment on it who played the game, and it's kind of the opposite, because the game, they constantly have to give you activities to do, so you don't get those moments where they're just sitting and talking, whereas in the show you can't. It's interesting, the show is actually slowing the story down from the game, whereas with the Wheel of Time, the show has to speed it up because they do spend so much time on the road. So all right, are you ready to go on to the next one?
I am. There's other things about things, but I'm curious to see what's on the quiz too. So it's almost like I don't want to tell you how much I know, so you don't nix that question off the quiz, so I can give me some good points. So I'm gonna just reserve the other information I feel about this one.
All right. I do want to get. You gotta promise me those thoughts if they don't show up in the quiz. You gotta promise me those thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I can't go much lower than last time. So hey, I'm feeling good.
Okay. All right. The next chapter is called "The Stag and Lion," and the icon is the dragon's fang, which we saw last time. Do you notice anything about this icon, by the way?
It kind of has a yin and a yang feel because there's some white and black in it. Yep.
Yeah, that's the flame of Tar-Valon. Looks like this. I wouldn't have brought this up actually, except for the fact that you mentioned yin and yang. So the flame of Tar-Valon looks like one side, and the dragon's fang looks like the other. So
for sure,
that is, and it's an interesting thing to just sort of think about. All right, everyone goes to take a bath at the inn, and Matt almost blabs about the Trollocs in the Two Rivers until the others shut him up. After the bath, Rand sees Moraine talking to a girl with short hair wearing pants. Oh my goodness. And they all eat dinner together. And Moraine says that they're going to rest in Baerlon for a few days. That night, Rand has a dream about a man with fire eyes who calls himself Baalzamon and tells Rand that the eye of the world will not serve him. And then he breaks a rat's back and Rand wakes up.
Going into chapter 14, first off, the dream in which Rand has about Brother Baalzamon, I was like, brother, are you some off-branded Digimon? You know what I'm saying? Who has names like Baalzamon? Like, that just seems like a Digimon name. Like, for any of those y'all who know Digimon. It's like, as evil as that sounds, like, it's kind of like, you ever like get faced with a villain and you just like start laughing in the face, how dare you, you fool, I'm so and so and so. It's like, but your name's Baalzamon, bro. I'm not scared of you. But again, when you start breaking rats' backs, you got it, brother. You know what I'm saying? You got my respect now. So that's the first thing that stood out. And then in this episode as well, I was concerned that Brother Hot Tub would not get his name, but we see that brother gets, he has his hot tub moment here as opposed to in episode 1 or in the first chapters. Although it's in a different sense.
They really do like their baths, and it does. Like the descriptions, Robert Jordan must have loved a good bath because he describes it so well. So
I don't blame him. Actually, it's funny because as this was occurring, I like awkwardly felt like comfortable myself. It's like, wow, this is, I felt like I was on a journey with him and I hopped in the tub too, just, off to the side somewhere, just listening on the conversation. So
any other thoughts on the dream?
It makes me want to tell Rand, brother, just ask Moraine to continuously hit you with that curedness spell so you never have these dreams. And at the same sense, I know Moraine has instructed him and the others to let me know when you have these dreams. But at the same time, as Rand, after she just finished telling us last chapter that she'll kill you before she lets you go to the Dark One, I can see how they would be reserved in doing that. Because it's like, if I tell you about the wrong dream, are you gonna just kill me right then and there because you feel like I'm already too close to the Dark One? So it's an interesting dynamic that he's put into.
Are you team tell Moraine or team keep it to yourself?
I'm team keep it on the low until I get to know a little more. So throw a bar in there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, now I like it.
Obviously, I do think I would still check in with Matt and Perrin since they're having the similar type of dreams. But Moraine and them, like, once somebody tells me that they're gonna kill me if things don't go the intended way, I have to be very strategic about what I tell you I got going on.
Right.
But yeah, so.
Okay. It's an interesting divide in the fan, like not in the fandom, but just among people, engaging with this story. Team tell Moraine, team, I don't know. All right.
Yeah. It's because it's not like she's fully forthcoming with everything she wants us to do either. Well, I say us. I'm not Ratman or Perrin. What she wants them to do.
Yeah. She's not forthcoming at all.
For sure. So it's like, this is a little bit of leverage I have. And I need to hold on to that a little bit till I get more information out of you. The guy even told him, tell them of this dream and see what happens. Which is another reason why it's like, I'm in a weird position right now. But yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
I will go on to the next chapter. This one I think might have my longest summary just because it just jumps around. It's called Strangers and Friends. The chapter icon is another one we haven't seen before. It's the sunburst. This is the symbol that the White Cloaks have. Rand wakes up and goes down to get some breakfast and overhears that there are dead rats with broken backs all over the inn. He checks on Perrin, who isn't feeling well after a night of bad dreams, and the same dreams that Rand had. Rand decides he's going to go looking around the city, and he wears his sword just like he saw Lan doing. On his way out, he meets Min and finds out that she has a special ability to see things around people, and she starts telling him her visions, like, for example, that he and Egwene are not for each other, quote unquote. There's blood on rocks, a funeral bier, and a bunch of other ones that we can get into. And then he tells her just stop. And out in the city, he runs into Padan Fain and tells him to come visit them at the inn. Then he finds Matt and finds out that Matt also had the same dream. And then they spot some White Cloaks, and Matt decides to do a prank and splash the White Cloaks with mud. And while the White Cloaks are recovering, Rand begins to feel and act very strange, flashing his sword and taunting the White Cloaks. Then they go back into the inn and tell Tom about the dream, and he tells them to keep it a secret. Perrin comes in and says that Nynaeve has arrived.
This is some of the reasons why I'm really glad I'm reading the book. We did not see this stuff in the show, or if we saw it, it was in a different way, or they probably tried to tie it in a different way. But going back to this whole stop here in the city, it was... this was not in the show. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
we did not stop here.
No,
okay,
we
perfect.
didn't stop in the city.
So it was interesting with the dream too, because the rat's back being broken, and then as soon as that happened, and the lady's like, they're blaming the cat.
Yeah.
Now, Tom and Jerry didn't do that. This was not a Tom and Jerry beef right here. Not when rats' backs being broken. Tom and Jerry, normally one of them makes it out alive, even with some knots on their heads and things of that nature. So that's what's like, oh man, this dream is too real. Now, going into Tom advising all of them to not really speak on what they saw, this is just like a house divided type situation. Because you have Moraine wanting information and telling them, and then you have Tom, who is a companion of the group, but also telling them, do not bring this up. So it's almost like, from these young guys' standpoint, who do we listen to when the house itself is divided? So
yeah. Now, you, again, have information that in the books has not been revealed yet, because you know in the you know something from the show. We saw, for example, in the chapter where Moraine is explaining about how, men are tainted, like men who use the power are tainted and they're insane, and the Reds have to gentle them. It says off to the side that Tom growls in his throat. And here he's saying, don't trust Moraine. Using your knowledge from the show, can you put together what's going on there? Like why he's not trusting Moraine, why he was angry when she said that?
So, and this is where it gets different, because we obviously did not see them together like this in this capacity.
No, not at all.
So,
yeah.
Are you saying what happened in the show that would lead me to believe why he would be mad at this time in the book?
Yes, yeah. In the show, Tom tells a story about his nephew.
Oh yeah. To Matt and Rand about how his nephew had to be put down.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, his nephew killed himself after he was gentled. Moraine starts talking about the Reds gentling. Tom gets real mad. Like he growls to himself. And here Rand is telling him, I had just had this crazy, crazy dream. And Tom's like, don't tell Moraine. Don't tell Moraine.
Got you.
I think at this point that's what's going on. Tom is like, I don't know, something's going on.
Okay.
Like, why isn't Aes Sedai interested in these three boys? Aes Sedai aren't interested in boys. She might think one of them can channel. Yeah, he's trying to protect them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually now, with that being kind of brought up a little bit more clearly, and you bring it back to the forefront of my memory, maybe in his mind, Tom is trying to do the loving thing and not the conniving thing, based upon his past experience with his nephew. So that actually makes that scene play out a little bit different to me at first. I mean, in hindsight. So that makes sense.
It is like, because it's one of those things that when you're reading it for the first time, you don't know, but with that knowledge from the show, it sort of changes what's happening here. Another comment from the chat. Mom and dad are fighting.
Yeah. Hey, somebody said mom and dad. I said they might have a relationship. You already done cued them in as mom and dad.
Yeah. Maybe. We don't know. Okay, so in the city, he runs into Padan Fain.
Again, this is one of those things where, of course, it kind of is different since I watched the show. But this is one of those things where it's like, you cannot keep this secret. this secret you can't keep. I know there's a plethora of secrets that you are trying to keep for various reasons.
Yeah.
This one right here you can't keep. But again, I'm coming in as somebody who's watched season 1. So obviously I have different opinions about Brother Fane.
Yeah.
But it almost reminds me of those times where Patton Fane is kind of hiding in plain sight. And I wonder if it's like a playoff of how many times we've seen him do that. But here you kind of see him.
Yeah.
And you kind of run past him. But yeah, him looking tattered and then just skittish. It's just weird to me because if I see somebody that I know, like you from the same city and we're in a place that neither one of us know, and I'm obviously trying to be like, you know, pursue you and say what's up and you're running away, that would give me red flags.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That would just give me red flags.
It would to me too. I want to give Rand the benefit of the doubt that he's just like, oh, he's traumatized because of the Trollocs. Yeah, but he, like, Fane is acting super suspicious.
This is, what is this, chapter 15?
Yeah.
Right? We're not supposed to say Trollocs. Moraine said we're not supposed to speak of Trollocs now. So in 15, we can't even say the word Trollocs or we'll get in trouble.
That's true. That's true. but like that's the because you're right. Like, this is stupid. Just tell people that you saw him. But
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think is that he's just like, he's traumatized. So I don't know. All right, and then the next thing that happens is Matt again does something stupid. Matt, like, I saw a comment earlier in Moraine, keep a low profile. Matt, I'm gonna shoot my sling at some white cloaks. Like
this is like the dumbest thing ever. And again, Rand doubles down on the foolishness with his actions, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But Matt, out of all the things you could have did, why are we going to another city and wreaking havoc? Can we get a good night's stay first? You know what I'm saying? Can we get some other things going? Can we experience, like, there's so much fun things to do, and me having to make my brothers go to the laundromat over a prank is not on the high end of that list of things I'm trying to accomplish in my life. Now, again, Brother Matters from Two Rivers, and maybe the funnest thing they have over there is skipping stones across the Two Rivers. I don't know, but that's not my idea of fun.
Yeah, it's like, it's basically like he just went over and threw some rocks at some police. I don't know what, like, it's just dumb.
I guess that would be kind of, that'd be what it's like.
Yeah.
That'd be what it's like.
It's just dumb. And then, so Rand then starts acting stupid.
He turned into like Mr. T or something. I don't know who this brother turned into. He just doubled down. It's almost like he had somebody took over his body type experience.
Yeah,
and we'll get into this later with, another character. But this was one of those moments too. It's like, bro, who are you right now? You're not the guy that I've been reading about up until this chapter. What is going on?
Yeah, because like he even says, like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but there's my heron marked sword. Like, and we didn't talk about this last week. I should have. The heron on the blade. Do you remember what that symbolizes? Lan says it. He just sort of says it in passing. So if you don't remember, that's fine. Like, it's just a quick thing.
I don't. Bring me up to speed.
A heron on a blade or a heron on a sword means that the person who has that sword is a blade master. It's like a sign that you are really, really good with the sword. So flashing the heron is like saying, with a gun, it'd be like saying, I'm a sharpshooter.
Yeah, and it was also one of those situations too where I feel like Rand could have obviously like blended in with the crowd of people and kind of, look this way. When something happens, look this way, text on your phone, walk off. But he's just kind of like, what's up? You got mud on your coat? It's funny to me. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing right now, my brother? Like those guys who pick fights at the bar. That's exactly what Rand was doing in that moment right there.
That is exactly what it was. You're right. That's a perfect way to describe it. It's just like, oh, come on. Nobody finds this attractive. Just move on. Just move on with your life.
Yeah. Because even a guy, and the clear indication was a guy had came from the alleyway about to get upset. Seen it was them. Nope, I'm going back. I'm going back.
Exactly.
Like that should have been the clearest indication that let's not mess with these guys.
Yeah.
But
okay. And then the last thing, Nynaeve has arrived. We can talk about that a bit, but I did want to talk about what Min starts saying. I don't know if any of that was interesting to you, because Min gives a bunch of viewings.
It was.
What ones did you notice? And that's what they're called, by the way. If you're talking in the fandom, people call what Min sees. They call them her viewings.
Min sees.
Yeah, her viewings.
And I think, and if I'm not mistaken, in the show, didn't we see her like at a bar or something?
Yeah. In the show, she's much later. In the show, she shows up in episode 7.
So yeah, the things that stood out to me in that, and as I'm looking at my phone, She said, pairing a wolf with a broken crown. I really don't want to tell you everything because I want to see what might be in the quiz. So I kind of want to hold my knowledge so you can't take the quiz away.
I will tell you, I have no questions from her viewings. I have no questions from her viewings because I wanted to talk about it.
So I've written down pairing a wolf with a broken crown, Matt a dagger with the laughing face. I mean, that makes more sense after he just, spilled mud all over the, brothers in white. Gleeman juggling fire in front of a white tower.
Okay.
Rand pouring water on sand, and also the fact that Rand was with the 3 women. And I might have misheard this, but I think it said something about Rand being in a coffin and the 3 women looking over him, or something like. Was that it? Was it like a funeral scene or something with something along those lines?
3 women standing over a funeral bier is the word. It's like a pyre. I think that's what it is. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. I think it's BIER. I think it's like where you burn a body.
So, but was that insinuating that he was the body being burned? Or is that still pretty
yes, it says
ominous at this moment?
It says 3 women standing over a funeral bier with Rand on it. So Rand is on the funeral bier.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. And it's like nobody can tell me that and I feel comfortable, not even for the rest of the day or the rest of the week.
I think that's when he was like, just stop. Like, I don't want to hear anymore what you see there. Yeah.
And then she was just so aggressive with it too. It's like we didn't even get to like, hey, how's your day? Where you work? How long you been here? We didn't have none of that conversation.
Why do you wear pants? Because Rand was obsessed with her pants. Anyway, yeah.
It was like one of those, for those of y'all on Twitter, it's like an immediate swipe right, swipe pass.
Yes. Yeah, going left. Yeah, it's too much information in your profile.
This is the same woman that Rand had saw briefly with Moraine for a second too, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's the same girl. So he saw them talking, which we do see in the show. Like in the show, Moraine goes to talk to me, and we actually see their conversation. So
yeah,
but in this, it's just Rand just being like, well, I see Moraine talking to this girl. So those are the ones that stood out to you?
Yes, those are the ones that stood out to me. But yeah, if you got some more, I'm definitely curious to see which one stood out to you.
I mean, because I know what they all mean, so I'm not gonna.
Oh dang! It's like you already have the full manifestation of what all of these things represent. So never mind. That might be too spoilery for me. I'm
just trying to think which ones. Well, there's one that I think you know. Tom is the man juggling fire around Tom. Yep. It's what we were just talking about. It's he's thinking about his I think it's supposed to be about his nephew Owen. And then Perrin the wolf, I think you can probably put some stuff together with that. The
and
horn.
speaking of this though too, every time I get to hearing Perrin compared to the wolf, I go back to the conversation Lan had with the group that said Trollocs were afraid of wolves and dogs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I keep seeing the symbolism, and like those two hate each other. I keep seeing the symbolism of that and how they don't like each other, which makes me think he'll be a formidable force against, those guys with the horns. It's chapter 15 already messed up.
Say that. Yeah.
Those guys with the horns. So
yeah. Are you ready to move on then?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So the next chapter is called The Wisdom, because we learned that Nynaeve had arrived. The symbol is 3 leaves on a branch. I think this is supposed to be like the wisdom symbol. I'm actually not sure what this one's supposed to be. The boys go in to meet Nynaeve, and Min grabs Rand and tells him that Nynaeve is, quote, a part of it, and they are all in more danger now. In the room, Lan asks how Nynaeve found them, and she says that she followed their trail, which shocks Lan. Nynaeve explains that she came to take the kids back, and then Moraine kicks everyone out so she can talk to Nynaeve alone. When Nynaeve and Moraine are finished talking, Nynaeve and Rand talk, and she basically confirms that he was born outside of the 2 rivers.
Going into chapter 16, it reminds me of some of the things that were irking Rand. And going back a little bit, I know it was kind of irking Rand that Moraine was treating Egwene in a way that made it seem like she was the leader of their group from 2 Rivers. Right. And I know he really didn't like that. But in this sense, it's almost like that leader of 2 Rivers now has kind of been passed up to Nynaeve, or the one, as we like to call her. Yeah. So, and it also, in the show, I know that Trolloc, we're in a different chapter now. I can say Trollocs, we're in the confined space. The Trolloc had dragged her off somewhere. So I'm as I was reading the book, I was childishly thinking that the Trolloc dragged her all the way to the gates of by the hair, just dragged her all the way to the gates, and then she beat him up and walked inside. Yeah. It's interesting because like this is love. You actually traveled all the way here
to get these kids,
and to get these kids. This is more than what some police, the police, you got to be gone for a couple of days before they search for you. You know what they say, oh, they might just be out with friends. It takes a while for them to come and get you. Her situation was a little bit different, especially given the fact that we know Lan was trying to cover their tracks and she still was able to pick up on that. That it further proves that she's like that. You know what I'm saying? Nynaeve is the one for real.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things from this chapter. A lot of people don't pick up on it, but again, I'm going to bring it up because I know from the show that Lan and Nynaeve might have a little something going on. But the way he reacts to her saying that she followed his track, like, I love that. Like, his response is like, this girl's better than me. And he's immediately intrigued. Like, he's attracted to her competence. And I love that. Like, I love
Lan
that.
Is, and let's not make no mistakes. Lan is an OG thus far.
He's
Lan
good.
is, he's an OG. He's respected. We don't see him making too many mistakes up until this point.
Yeah. I love that the way it is written is not, the wisdom came in and look how pretty she is. It's like the wisdom came in and, oh my God, she's good. She's good at her job. I'm going to pay attention.
It's a respect for the craft first before it's a, you know what I'm saying? What's up with them digits? What's up with them numbers? Now it's a respect for what you got going on.
Yeah, exactly. And then, she blushes when he compliments her. I literally did not notice this happening the first time I read these books. I was just like, okay, I'm here with Rand, and Rand doesn't care. Rand is not like, who's the wisdom into? He doesn't care, so you don't pay attention to it. But now when I read it back, I'm all like, my girly heart is just like, oh, look at that. look at these two. Look at these two. So, okay. I know that's not the most important thing about this chapter, though. Any other things jump out at you on this one?
Yeah, it was the fear stops with Nynaeve as far as the Two Rivers group that we see. So Rand, Perrin, Matt, and Egwene, I'll either say have a healthy fear or a terrified fear of Moraine. Nynaeve is like willing to stand 10 toes deep on what she believes in. I don't care if you are Aes Sedai or not. Let me get my kids back home. And you're definitely going to have to convince me otherwise that they're safer with you than with me, because right now I'm the best situation for them. So it is interesting seeing her being so passionate, but again, knowing the show and knowing what she has within her that she may or may not even know at this point that she has, it's understood. There's actually some power behind these words. It's not just empty statements.
She's not just blowing hot air. And then the conversation her and Rand have outside, where she basically is, I remember Tam coming back with a wife and a kid, and like anything from that.
This was funny, and funny you said hot air because literally the room was cold. It was funny because it's like, Tan, you slick dog. You tried to cover this up so much that you went and got you another redhead woman so that you could say she looks like my son. I said, hey, Tan, you a slick one. You done messed around and fell in love with another redhead woman so that there would be no confusion about who the mom is. Hey, I gotta give it to this brother right there, man.
I'm imagining Cam on Tinder being like, no, I'm looking for a redhead. I gotta find a redhead.
Looking for a redhead. They gotta blend in with my son. That's it.
Oh man, I never even thought about that. But yeah. All right.
That's crazy that he had that in his Tinder profile. Redheads only.
Yes, exactly. Wow, I never thought about that. What I remember noting from this is the Two Rivers is tight, or Emond's Field is tight. Like, cause Nynaeve says this to Rand, but she's like, don't worry, I'm not telling Moraine. She's not one of us. Like, I know this about you. I know that she's asking these questions, so you're the one she's looking for, but don't worry. I'm keeping it quiet.
And that was interesting too, because a part of me, like childishly, immaturely so, is still feeling some type of way that you didn't heal my dad. So like my get back would be like, well shoot, I'm riding with the person who could save my dad. You couldn't do it, remember? You couldn't do nothing for him. So a part of me is kind of like, that's like a little slick lick back I would throw in. But it's petty. I know it's a petty. It's a petty lick.
I mean, she tried. I mean, well, she didn't try. She knew she couldn't.
No, that's a fact. You didn't even try.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But she's protecting him here in this moment. Like, she's protecting him from Moraine by not telling Moraine this. So.
But it's almost like you guys couldn't go do what you wanted to if you wanted to, because now you have two authoritative women who are making sure that you abide by whatever reality they see is best for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So-
they're going in opposite directions. So now you got mom and dad. So you got Moraine and Tom, mom and dad, and now what is she? Like your Nynaeve's your aunt?
Big sister, really.
Yeah, big sister.
Big sister.
Yeah.
It was just definitely interesting seeing again how she gets brought into the fold now. So now we have Nynaeve into the fold.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing how they all come about that way. So
Okay, then I do, because it is interesting the way the show dealt with this, because in the books the kid like Rand, Matt, Perrin, Egwene leave, and then Moraine or Nynaeve follows. In the show, the way they separated them was by having Nynaeve dragged off, because I'm pretty sure Moraine would have taken her with them, because she's one of the five. So what do you think about the way they dealt with that in the show versus the book?
And that's a good question. And we will talk about this a little bit more as we get, because I have some thoughts on this as we get to certain situations with the Trollocs. The Trollocs are known to kill and destroy. But there are certain individuals, and in the show, Nynaeve included, that they are seemingly just trying to capture only. So it also made me think, like, they're showing you right now in the show, this is not somebody that they necessarily want to be killed right now. This is a capturable person. So that was some of the vibes I got from when I watched the show, because everybody else in the villages, including my boy who was dancing jolly.
Yeah.
Oh, he got one straight through the chest.
Straight through the chest.
So you must not be that important, my brother. You staying in Two Rivers.
Oh, poor man. He's staying in tears.
No disrespect. Rest in peace to Stunt. My boy. At least he went out with a good dance.
Yeah, exactly.
If he would have been doing the cha-cha slide, he probably could have slid to the left before the thing came. But hey,
Oh my Lord. All right. Okay. So next chapter 17 is called Watchers and Hunters, and the icon is the Dragon's Fang, which we have seen before. The group dances in the common room while a creepy man with a scar across his face watches them. After the dance, which, they dance with Moraine and Nynaeve, Rand goes into the kitchen and meets a Fade. Lan comes running and the Fade disappears. They saddle up to leave. At the gates of the city, they run into White Cloaks before the gates can be opened, and the White Cloaks recognize Rand from earlier, and they accuse them all of being dark friends. Moraine grows into a giant and scares them, and they are able to leave the city. As they make their way down the Camelin Road, they see fires in Baerlon and realize that the inn they were in has been set on fire.
Now, again, in comparison to the show, this is one of those chapters that I really wish they would have made room to include in the series.
Okay.
This is one of those, as y'all heard us talk about last time, how dare the book go against the show? This is one of those, how dare the show go against the book?
Okay.
I needed to see Moraine go from Nate Robinson to Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? I needed to see that growth. I needed to see that extension. You know what I'm saying?
You wanted to see her as
I could just see that. Exactly. I could see her getting her own Nike deal off of that type of growth right there that she had. But we'll get to that one. When it comes to Brother Scar sitting there in the corner and we at a party, I'm going to be honest with you, Jenny. I would go up to the DJ's booth, unplug the speakers, and like have the spotlight on him. What's up, bro? You don't like the playlist? Is there something wrong with the play? We need to figure out what's going on with everybody. Ain't finna be dancing and you sitting here looking at us like we all a certified snack.
Yeah.
Brother, you gotta get to moving or something. That it's come on, man. It's already an uncomfortable situation. I can't have you at the party while this is going on. It's just not with everything Moraine, Tom, Pat and Fane, not with everything that's going on.
Yeah, somebody watching you while you dance. What did you think about the dance scene? Like, it feels like a weird interlude. Like an interlude in the story where they just are stopping and dancing. How did you?
What I
feel
thought about the dance scene is on Rand's side, because I know he did see a woman that he thought was, look straight, attractive young woman.
Yeah.
And he danced with her for a while. It let me know that, like, even though he is probably, I don't know if I want to say in love or that's his high school sweetheart, Egwene, it seems like he could get into another situation, or even if he just needed something to numb him from not having that situation that he would mingle with. I felt that. And also there was still awkward tension between him and Egwene.
Yeah.
Neither one of them wanted to actually, well, because we see Rand's perspective, we did learn that Rand was attempting to try to rectify things at one point, but Egwene was not having it.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
just kind of shut that thing down with her,
Yeah.
with the way she act, her nonverbal actions. And it was weird because like we're dancing together, but it seemed like a good moment for them to kind of squash things.
Could have been, yeah.
But
yeah.
Brother Sensitive has reared his head on that one again.
Yes. he is.
Sometimes, the fellas, they just got to take that L, man. I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? I don't know. You just fill in the blank. It's my bad. You know what I'm saying? My bad. If that makes us be able to dance a little bit, slower. Yeah, my bad. It was on me.
Yeah. It's interesting because, we're different people looking in this story. I've told you Nynaeve is my favorite character. What always jumps out at me in this moment is seeing Nynaeve dance. And in the show, they show a scene where everybody's dancing and Nynaeve is just watching because she can't dance in the Two Rivers because that's her place of work. So my heart always is like, oh, she feels free. So now she's like, I can dance.
Turn into a city girl.
Yeah, I can
turn
dance
into a
here.
city girl.
Yeah, it makes me feel a little happy for her in that moment.
And because I know Land and hers, history, I could just see Land off in the cut, just you know what I'm saying, just looking like, okay,
Yeah, all right, she can dance.
She can track, she can dance. I already know she can cook. I'm gonna need to put a ring on that.
Yeah.
I can see Land in the cut.
I was about to say, did you think Land danced? Because they didn't mention Land dancing, but I don't think he would have.
No, I didn't see him dance, but I just seen him off in the cut, just observing.
Yeah.
Because he has to watch over everybody. But
yeah.
Nynaeve was getting a little extra security at that moment.
Probably, yes.
From Brother Land.
In that moment. And then, so the gates, when they go to leave. Oh, wait, no. First, before Rand goes into the kitchen.
Yeah.
He meets Faye.
Yeah. This one caught me way off guard. Because it was almost one of those situations to where you're beginning to feel safe, right? Yeah. We took a hot bath.
They're dancing.
Yeah, we're dancing. We made it out of the encounter with the white cloaks. Right, we should be able to get and now we're already gonna leave in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's gonna end out and we hit the pillow and the pillow hit us in chapter 19. You know what I'm saying? Next chapter. I thought it's gonna end up something like that. And then I was like, oh man, this is not going to end well. This seems like a fade, but I was letting the book describe more of the features. And I said, this is a fade. And that fade is talking that mess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fade is talking that mess to Brother Rand.
Yeah.
And all of that energy Rand had against the white cloaks, that brother turned into a certified puppy in that moment.
In that moment, he definitely did.
In that moment, he turned into a certified puppy.
The look of the eyeless is fear. Like when they just look at you, it drains you of any courage you have. Can you put together how the Fade found him?
Absolutely. Patton Fane had his fingers all on that, which was one of the reasons why when Patton Fane and Rand had that interaction, I was like, you fool. Why did you tell them that you were at Hotel 6 or the Stag and Lion? You know what I'm saying? Hotel 6, the Stag. Why did you tell him that? Because I think he actually is like, the Stag and Lion, eh?
Yeah, he repeats
That's what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that had Patton Fane's fingers, Slick Rick's fingers all over it, for sure.
And then they go out to the gates, they meet that white cloak, and it's because Matt was an idiot, and then because Rand started being an idiot, the white cloak knows who they are. And so the white cloak sees them.
He told him, when brothers say, we're gonna see you again, you always do. It never fails. You always do. Whether it's at Kroger, at Target, the gas station, you gonna run into him again.
Exactly. Like they might have been able to leave except for the fact that these boys were stupid. And then, they did leave because Moraine turned into a giant. I love it.
Again, Wilt Chamberlain. I need to see that on ESPN. The woman who turned into Wilt. That's going to be a special right there. That's going to be a 30 for 30. ESPN 60 Minutes. I included 60 Minutes in ESPN. That's two different situations.
Completely.
But you get what I mean.
Yeah, the woman who turned into Wilt might be my favorite phrase. That's it. As they leave, they turn around and they see that there's fires. And they know that the inn is burning. And we have like this first, like a real conflict that we actually get to see between Nynaeve and Moraine, where Nynaeve's like, help. And Moraine's like, how? Like, what exactly do you expect me to do?
And I feel so bad for the innkeeper because you know he did what he said he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Moraine told him, like, just tell him we went XYZ, y'all will be straight. And you know, they came in and asked the innkeeper, and the innkeeper, I'm not telling y'all nothing. And the movie probably spit at their feet or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
You know, they always do something dumb like that.
Yeah,
and then one of them probably beheaded that brother right then and there.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I hope that didn't happen to him. But, you know, I've seen certain movies play out like that. So I hope all is well for the innkeeper. But you know that happened. Now, in regards to the White Cloaks, I'm very confused about what actual power that you guys do or do not have, because you're only allowed to have 10 people inside in the city at once, and then you're supposed to only, you know, you're supposed to keep some of y'all's religious practices at bay. Yet y'all walking through the city as if you own the city.
Yep.
Even the way they even like, how off bat are you gonna say we're dark friends? Brother, you haven't even asked me, you know, anything outside. Well, you did. Well, again, Rand and Matt's escapades did put them in a precarious situation. That was over the top. And, you know, that's where they use their religious beliefs to a maniacal advantage.
Yeah.
They just wanted their lick back.
Yeah.
They just wanted their lick back. That's all it was.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, the White Cloaks, they act like they have authority, but then the city's like, they only bring 10 in. But then when they're walking through the city, you see everybody avoids them and nobody avoids the actual city police.
To watch, like, it was so disrespectful. Like, you actually, as it describes it, they're moving and the crowd just knows to make way for them.
Yeah.
Then when a watch tries to go by, they're just having to fight through the crowd of people. It's
Exactly,
like, okay, who really has the power here?
Yeah.
But this is again where it deviates, because we do have an interaction between Moraine and the White Cloaks, but not an interaction like this.
Yes.
And this again goes into why I say it would have been really good to see this chapter play out in the series. It would have been really good to see this play out in the series. I think this was a I'm not gonna say anything negative about the series overall, but this was a huge miss.
You think this was
This portion not being there, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I don't know how they could have done it without it looking silly. That's my imagination.
You talking about the
make her grow up.
Moraine to Wilt?
Yeah. I think it would have just been like, oh, come on, it's a cartoon. Like, it's the same reason probably why in my mind, they didn't have the Trolloc talk, because it would have looked weird. Like, it would have been like, what's going on?
They couldn't find the right Jermaine. I understand.
They couldn't find Jermaine. That's right. But they might have been able to make it look cool. I don't know. I'm not good at this sort of thing at all. So.
All right. Well, that is the first part of episode 2 of the First Time Readers podcast with Addison and Jenny. And before y'all get out of here, I want to show y'all some AI art that was created. Oh, no. Y'all can't watch that yet. Y'all got to go watch the second half of this video and see Jenny's portion to be able to catch the AI art in that video. Y'all don't want to miss it out, man. We got some dope things coming up on the second half of this video. As always, we appreciate you, and I'm going to catch y'all there.